Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news, along with our humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 238. We're recording this on a Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. We've got the Packers' first game and the start of the NFL season this weekend. It's also Bears week, and we've got a special guest coming up, so stay tuned. Also, Ren and I will give our Packer record predictions and preview the aforementioned Bears matchup. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me tonight in studio is...
Ren, what up, Tay? We've got a fun one for the Packer universe tonight. I can't wait to get into it.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump right into our guest interview with Joey Christopoulos. So check this out. Today we have a special guest on the podcast. Packer Universe goes south of the border today to talk to Joey Christopoulos. He's a Bears podcaster and sports talk contributor down in the Chicago area. So Joey, it's nice to meet you and welcome to the Packer Universe podcast.
Gentlemen, it is my pleasure. There's nothing better on the planet Earth than Bears Packers week one. Am I right? I mean, I don't know. I prefer it a little bit later in the season, but look, football is back, you guys. You guys have a new quarterback. We have a quarterback that we want to learn a lot from. Can't wait to dive in and happy to be with you guys today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, before we get into anything, please tell us about the podcasts you're involved with and a little bit about yourself, how you got started with them, and then transition back into that Bears-Packers rivalry and what it means to you, and maybe how this year is a possible reset for it and maybe a turning point in the Bears' ownership in the NFC North.
Cool. We'll keep it on my personal side here first. You can follow me at Joey Sports Guy. I host two programs for the Believe Sports Network. I host Believe in Bears with former Bears defensive end Corey Luton. Spent a half a second with the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, so he did not finish his NFC North bingo card by playing for the Packers. But we've been doing a show together, a weekly show the last 3 years. We get all kinds of guests from former players to Chicago insiders, and we love crossing the aisle too as well, and talking sometimes to the enemy to get their perspective. I also host Bet on Chicago as well, which is more of a Chicago-centric Chicago sports podcast, but really it's a celebration of the Midwest and our love of sports. You can also check out some of my content with Beyond the Big Ten this year as well. I'm a producer for that company and also hosting the Northwestern Wildcats show for them too as well. To be honest with you, a little bit about my background. Born and raised in Chicago. Been a Bears fan my whole life. If you cut me open, I will bleed bear blood. Worked in the entertainment industry for about 20 years and transitioned about 5 years ago into sports. And it's really just kind of been a full circle moment for me, being able to hopefully entertain people, provide some perspectives, tell some stories, meet some people, learn a little bit, but doing it now on the sports side. And honestly, like, what better than today? I know we're recording this on a Wednesday, but guys, I mean, are we going to sleep at all these next couple of days waiting for Sunday, week one football? We've been talking all summer long about what's going to happen, what could happen. We're finally going to start to put pen to paper on this 2023 season for the Chicago Bears and for the Green Bay Packers. And I'm excited. Look, I'm going to be the first to tell you, did I do a little dance when Aaron Rodgers left town? You bet your butt I did. The Chicago Bears, when we talk about rivalries, I'm the first one to say that we have been more the doormat than the rival these past couple of years. I don't believe we've won a game against the Packers since I think it was 2018 or 2019. So we're on a little bit of a losing skid right now, but obviously Jordan Love now at quarterback. Justin Fields heading into his third season. I know we're going to dive into what the expectations are for him, but man, what it's been so interesting about this is just talking with Packers fans and talking with Bears people. I'm not sure either team. I don't know what to expect from either team out of the gate. And obviously 17-game season, a long year, right? But this first week one, I think it's pretty integral for both teams to get off to a good start. You want Jordan Love to feel good about himself, and you want Justin Fields to show that first glimpse that he's taking the next step in his progression, his evolution, as hopefully the franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears. So a lot to look at, a lot to get excited about. And, man, we're only days away until they kick off, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, definitely super anxious, super excited here. We're just days away. We're 24 hours away from actual NFL football, which is super fun as well, Joey. I don't think Rodgers or Favre are walking out that tunnel to possibly get that 9th straight win against the Bears. And obviously some of the biggest storylines are as the aforementioned 2 quarterbacks. We see a lot of parallels between Justin and Jordan right now. Whether they like it or not, and I know both those guys like it. They're the face of the organizations at the moment. They're asking to take the next step. Where do you feel Justin is at? Is this the year you've really got to see it? And if you don't, do you think they maybe need to look in a different direction? When we're starting the year with the Bears and we're bookending it, by the time this thing all ends up in January, it's going to be Packers, Bears to close it out. So how do you feel about Justin's year here in 23?
When we talk about Justin Fields, it just depends on the day of whether I'm going to say I'm excited for Justin Fields or I'm terrified for Justin Fields. And today on Wednesday, gentlemen, I'm going to go with excited, but you alluded to it just a second ago, and I completely agree that for me personally, this is a make or break year for Justin Fields. When you talk third year, look, we can wipe the first year apart to the side with the Matt Nagy offense. This is the second year of Luke Getsy's offense. You know, those first 4 games last year, the offense did not look good. They took that bye week. They came back. They readjusted the game plan. And from week 4 against the Patriots for about 5 or 6 weeks, we were scoring 30 points a game. And how were we doing it? We were doing it with Justin Fields' legs and his big play potential. Now we want to see him take that next step. And what does that look like? Well, for me personally, I think it's twofold. And I think it has a lot to do with the wins that are going to end up on their ledger at the end of the season, and also the type of play that you're going to see. Now, Justin is such an interesting case where, I mean, look, I'm a Chicago Bears fan. Do I really know what elite quarterback looks like? Yes, I've seen it from afar, but I've never really gotten to see it up close and personal in my backyard my whole entire life. But Justin Fields is so interesting because we have all these numbers, right? We have all these projections. We have all these models, and we have all this advanced data and all these stats. But Justin Fields is one of those types of quarterbacks where 3 to 4 times a game, he does something unscripted, unpredictable, whether it is with his athleticism or whether it is breaking down a play to pick up some extra yards with his legs that you can't really account for. So I'm trying to hedge my feelings a little bit because we just can't predict what he's going to do. And that's a part of the magic of Justin Fields. But moving forward, right, we all know what quarterback play and elite quarterback play looks like in the NFL, and you guys have seen it for what, the last 30 years.
30 years, man. Yeah, it's nice to say. We're hoping to put another 15 on that, but yeah, 30.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I can't control the volume of my voice when I say that. And for Justin Fields, what taking that next step looks like is obviously being more efficient in the red zone. The guy is so athletic. You know, we've been living off of field goals and hoping for touchdowns the last couple of seasons. When you get in the red zone, you got to capitalize and get those touchdowns together. You know, he's going to have to learn how to trust his offensive line again. But I think a lot of the people that are thinking, you know, Justin Fields needs to throw for X amount of yards, he needs to have an X amount of completion percentage, I think are kind of missing what's going to be the hallmarks of the Chicago Bears offense. You know, they led the NFL last year in rushing yards per game. That is still going to be a huge component of what's going to make Justin Fields successful. Now, adding a player like DJ Moore is certainly going to help. I'm excited to see that Jair Alexander versus DJ Moore matchup there on Sunday. That's going to be a great first test. But when you're talking about make or break, GM Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields. What did we do with the first pick last year? All right, we were going to give him one more year, but we traded that pick. We now have 2 first-round picks that could possibly be top 10s if things don't swing the right way for the Chicago Bears. So anything less than 7 wins is a disappointment. It opens up that conversation of, do the Bears have to move on from Justin Fields and draft another guy? I mean, it's all happening this season. I'm not saying he has to go out there and win a playoff game, but man, they need to be competitive in this NFC North. It happens this season, and I truly think this is going to be make or break for Justin Fields. And hopefully by the end of the season, Chicago Bears fans will know whether he's the franchise quarterback to move forward with, or whether we maybe need to start looking in a different direction.
Yeah, I think from up here, Joey, our perspective too is just that. I think he needs to perform. He needs to, show
that he's got it. Can actually throw the football. And we know he can run the football, but Everybody's just kind of curious, when will that first 300-yard game come? Will he become more accurate? We heard some things in the preseason. It wasn't great, but certainly, as you mentioned,
choppy preseason, guys.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, and just a amazing athlete, just a huge guy that can do some things at times. He got the one MVP vote last year. He can certainly just make things happen at times. And suddenly, you're first and 10 at the 25, and the next thing you know, he's in the end zone. So he's a dangerous guy, and I think for Chicago fans, with those two upcoming picks, if you don't, like you mentioned, you don't get that, above 6 wins, you might have to reconsider that direction on the team.
I completely agree. And I know last year, we finished 3-14. We were 2-1 at one point, and then lost, I believe, 10 games in a row at one point. And for whatever reason, and honestly, to be very fair, I don't think Bears fans really took that into account and put that against Justin Fields. I think that turns a little bit this year. The NFC North is up for grabs, in my opinion. Detroit Lions, when they're the presumptive favorite to win the NFC North, you know that it's up for grabs at that point. And I just think that it's all sitting out there for the Chicago Bears to be competitive and put up some wins. And what I want to see, we talk about those 300-yard games, but I also want to see Justin Fields drive down the field and win some ball games in the fourth quarter, carry his team, and just become that winning quarterback that we want to see. I do think that the passing is going to be incremental. We might not see it this Sunday, week 1. By season's end, I certainly hope that we do see it. But it's all laid out there for him to make it happen. And it's not too dissimilar from Jordan Love. I mean, I know that you guys have bought into him a little bit money-wise, financially. But with the pieces that are around him, with that running game, with a guy like Christian Watson, who granted didn't practice today, I think he plays this week 1. I mean, I'm just curious, guys, what's your perspective on Jordan Love? I don't think he's got as short of leash as Justin Fields does, but I mean, you're going to have your pen and paper out all season long, kind of grading this guy and deciding, what does this future look like with Jordan Love at quarterback? What's your guys' perspective on him throughout the preseason, and what do you guys expect from him heading into week 1?
I think we've been pleasantly surprised with his performance this preseason, actually. I know they haven't really stuck him out there too much to, get a lot of experience, but those first few drives of each preseason game did go well for Love. And you're right, he has a longer leash than Fields. And I think he has a little bit of a bigger margin of error here and a little more room to maybe take a little more time than Fields. I think Fields is under way more pressure now than Jordan. And honestly, up here, we're looking at Jordan as a game manager, a guy that's not going to make mistakes, let the playmakers do their jobs, the running backs, the wide receivers, throw short, just take what the defense gives you. We're not looking to put everything on Jordan Love's shoulders, and I think that's a good way to look at it. And as Packer fans, we're expecting them to have struggles, make mistakes, and do some things that might hold them back. So it's a different mindset now with this new era football team, and I think for the most part, we're all okay with where Jordan Love is at right now, and we're looking forward to it. We're kind of getting excited for it.
Jordan was a fun watch this preseason because a lot of us had a lot of questions. I still have a little bit of a question. The arm talent was one of the things talked about Jordan coming out of college. He's missed a lot of those deep balls that I don't know where the arm talent is at on those. You've got to be able to hit them because Watson's going to give you a few of those, throughout the course of a game, potentially. He is California chill. Unlike Aaron was California cool, Jordan doesn't seem to get rattled. He's shown us that he can go through his read progressions. For me, I'm just super, super hopeful that he stays healthy all year so we can get a good gauge on this guy if he is the right guy. Speaking of 2 first-round picks as well, moving into that year 5 where they also have him under contract for a reasonable amount of money. But I think they're going to give the whole organization is going to kind of get a pass this year. And they're going to give him the full 2 years to say, hey, I can or can't do this. But he definitely has the mental ability to seem to deal with all of it, which is pretty amazing thing given what he had to follow in Aaron Rodgers.
That's such a great point that you're bringing up because I'm in the same boat as well. When we're talking about evaluation, when we're talking about a young quarterback, look, no one wishes injury on anyone. And if Justin Fields gets injured, first of all, our season's probably down the tubes. But second of all, I think for both quarterbacks, I think it's very fair to say that, man, just give us 17 games, right? Like for Justin Fields, I think like the worst case scenario for him is that he battles injuries at some point, misses some games, and at the end of the year, Bears fans are going, well, he looked kind of good in a couple of these games, and we have this sample size to go off of. Let's just roll it back again into the offseason and hope that there's a progression there. I think both guys would benefit greatly from just as many snaps as possible this season, stay on the field, and just try and give both franchises the best possible way to evaluate both of these guys moving forward.
100%. I mean, that incomplete report card would, I think, for both teams be terrifying.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear, and that's the middle. That's the middle gray area that you don't want to live in, and that is that incomplete right there, that INC.
As Packer fans, we're kind of we kind of have some faith in our playmakers. We love our running backs and we love our wide receivers, our young wide receivers right now. They do have to kind of prove themselves a little bit, but bouncing back to the Bears, I mean, the Bears have relied on more of their run game in recent years. So with the acquisition of DJ Moore, do the Bears have enough wide receiver depth and enough experience in their offensive playmakers right now?
Great question. Experience, yes. Depth, I doubt it, right? If we have to lose DJ Moore at any point during the season, even for a game or two, I think you're going to see an offense that looks very, very similar to some of the offensive game plans that we rolled out last year. And for me personally, I know that Bears fans are so excited to see DJ Moore light it up. But truly, I do believe it all starts with our running game up front. You guys have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. We got Khalil Herbert. We got Deontay Foreman. We also have Roschon Johnson, the rookie, coming in. And I just think that is going to be so important to get that version of the game going. Justin is at his best when we're in play action. When you look at what gets his offense, which you guys are very familiar with.
Absolutely.
When you see Robert Tonyan catching a dozen touchdowns in a season, a lot of that was off that play action. A lot of it was kind of those second, third looks of trying to get a guy open when you got a Devontae Adams on the field. So now that you have a DJ Moore, it's more important than ever that the running game gets going, those play action looks happen, and that's when you get a guy like Cole Kmet involved on those one-on-one matchups, who actually has been a tight end that honestly, in the first part of his career, he was a pretty good tight end in zone, really struggled in man coverage. Last year, though, you can call it game calling, you can call it evolution of a player. When he got into play action in those man-on-man moments, that's when Cole Kmet really was able to shine. And I think that's when Justin Fields' confidence in him really started to rise up a little bit. So it starts with the running game. I think we're going to see it on both sides of the football this weekend. A lot of run plays and just try and find those moments when you can take your shots. Now, DJ Moore, what's so great about him personally is I just think this guy is a fantastic football player, not a wide receiver, football player. And the biggest knock on Justin Fields hasn't been so much. I personally think that he's a fairly accurate quarterback. Of course, he can get better. But what happens with him is that when he goes back, he plants that right leg into the ground and that ball is supposed to come out. You've seen him hesitate for about 0.2, 0.3 seconds. And that has even accelerated him to dive out of the pocket and run with the football. With DJ Moore, this is a guy who can do it all. He can get open physically off the line of scrimmage, give you that little nice NFL window, a little bit bigger than normal to throw at. He can go over the middle. He can go deep. So with a guy like that, I just want Justin Fields to build that confidence through a player like DJ Moore. See that, read it, trust it, and deliver the football. I think if DJ Moore can come down with a couple of passes in those moments, that's when Justin Fields starts to realize, hey, I can deliver this ball and trust that my guys are going to come down with it. No offense to EQ St. Brown, as you guys know all very well and good, but throwing to him on a quick slant route on a 3rd and 5, Justin didn't trust it. Is that Justin's read? Is that criticism of Justin unable to read the field or read his progressions? Or is it the trust factor of a guy like St. Brown out there? Now, when you put a guy like DJ Moore out there, he should be able to deliver that football with confidence, move the chains, and I think that'll go a long way towards hopefully an improvement on the offense and then an acceleration of Justin Fields' evolution as a quarterback.
I 100% agree. It was a great acquisition. He's certainly going to definitely help Justin's game. I mean, I like Mooney as a player too. He's a fun little player. But hey, we love, chicks dig the long ball. We love talking about offense. That's the big storyline. But I think we'd both be remiss. We know both these football teams have had some struggles, to say it lightly, against the run in recent years, and we know that obviously defense was a problem for the Bears a little bit last year. And, Roquan Smith was traded away. You guys kind of rebuilt that whole inside linebacker piece with Edmonds coming in and Edwards coming in. And I think you got the Scotty, Jack Sanborn there. Obviously probably pretty solid in that middle, but where are your concerns still, Joey, with the Chicago Bear defense? Where's a place you think the Packers could potentially make some hay with regard to that?
Well, let me start by saying you did say it very lightly, and I appreciate the tenderness, because this defensive line that the Chicago Bears have last year, honestly, this isn't hyperbole. Their defensive line was the worst defensive line on a Chicago Bears team I have ever watched in my entire life. We had about 20 sacks as a team. Our leading sack leader, Packers fans, was our safety, Jaquan Brisker, with 4.5.
Wow.
It was that abysmal. Our rankings across the board started with a 3, as in at the bottom of the NFL. And if you look at it, GM Ryan Poles, there's a lot of good things to like. His drafts have been pretty solid. His acquisitions to this point, they've been a little hit and miss, but that's a part of the game. That's part of the trade. What's been so interesting is that on the defensive line, the dude has punted on the position for yet another season in a row. And now, look, they drafted Jervon Dexter. They drafted Zach Pickens on the inside. Those are developmental guys. They went out and they brought in a couple of guys that were rotational pieces that had solid seasons last year, and a guy like Andrew Billings, a guy like DeMarcus Walker. They're now asking those guys to take on bigger roles in a defense. We've seen this story before in Chicago. El Kadim Muhammad was a perfect example of that last year. It doesn't necessarily mean that the production in a limited amount of time means that production continues when you have an expanded role. Now, you hit it right on the head. We spent a lot of money, a lot of equity in the linebacker position. That position is going to be a lot better. And I can tell you that the Bears coaching staff specifically has a lot of high hopes for our secondary. You got Jalen Johnson playing for a contract. They drafted Tyreek Stevenson. They really like Kyler Gordon in the nickel position. I think Jaquan Brisker is perhaps our best defensive player at safety. And then Eddie Jackson has been a bit rejuvenated, especially last year at the other safety position. But man, that defensive line, if you are the Packers, and look, this is the recipe right now to not only get Jordan Love off to a good start, but possibly to win the game, is attack that defensive line. We had problems all last season with gap discipline, setting the edge, and doing it on a consistent basis. There was at one point last year, we played the Giants, and Brian Daboll literally called the same counterplay, I think 4 out of 5 plays in a row, because the Bears simply couldn't stop it. I mean, this is a fundamental aspect of football, whatever setting the edge and staying in your gaps is all about. Can this Bears defensive line do it? Unfortunately, if we're talking about things that terrify me, that defensive line is what terrifies me the most, is that if we want to talk about Justin Fields taking the next step, is he going to be able to take the next step if we're down 7 to 10 points in the fourth quarter and other teams got the ball? It's 3rd and 6, and the Bears defense can't get off the field because their defensive line can't stop the run. How does that help Justin Fields? It is still a major area of concern. Just because we added a couple of guys, maybe we went from the 32nd defensive line to maybe the 28th in the NFL. Okay, improvement, yes, but what does that exactly do? I think a big key to this game this weekend is just trying to bottle up to the best of our ability Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. It's going to be all about down and distance with this defensive line. And I'm just focusing on stopping the run. Whether we get a pass rush from a Yannick Ngakoue, yet to be seen. But if you're a Packers fan right now, man, get that run going, get Jordan Love comfortable, get him into some play action, some clean pockets, and he could start seeing some success. So if you're a Packers fan, I think that's what you're looking for. As much as you maybe want to see Jordan Love air it out, I think you want to see them run the rock on Sunday against the Chicago Bears, because I think that's the best way for them to have success.
I wholly agree. Thank you for that well-thought response. With just getting Jordan's feet under him, getting that running game going, getting him just calm down into his first true start as the starter in Green Bay would go a long way for him, and hopefully give him that confidence, to let things progress, especially given the first injury report here in Green Bay, which included their number 1 and number 2 wide receiver not practicing with hamstring injuries. And, those things can be really tricky. So it's a pretty big concern up here in the Packerland and Packer universe.
And I'll throw it back to you guys. I mean, be honest, right? Like, this is week 1. We don't know how things are going to go. You guys are changing. There's a change of the guard at quarterback. what scares you the most about the Bears? What scares you the most about the Bears matchup wise? Is there anything in particular, anything specific that maybe has you saying, man, if that doesn't go our way, we're going to have a tough time with one?
Well, I think it's still Justin's ability to make that off schedule play. I mean, he can do things, and now that he does have a guy like listen to your show with Cordy today, by the way, great stuff.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know, that 50-50 ball, you know, DJ's a guy who can go get it now. So they've added that extra element. It could go a long way for him. This Packer team is a little green. We're super excited actually, because we don't even know what we have. That's why I want this complete report card, because this guy if he could turn out to be a great quarterback, and it doesn't even have to be a Hall of Famer again, but man, if we could do that again, we're all just kind of wondering what this truly will look like with Jordan, and just kind of getting him comfortable into that mode, I think, is the most important thing, as we were just talking about. But I think Justin is the guy who could really, set that off. And obviously, I mean, it's a tradition in Chicago to have good inside linebacker play, and you're talking about that. If Green Bay can run, is it going to be those three guys, Edmonds, Edwards, and Sanborn, those kind of guys crashing the ball and taking that element away. So we'll see. How about you, Tay? What scares you about the Bears, Tay?
I do have to echo, Ren, what you've said here. It's actually Fields. I mean, I know up here, and no offense, Joey, but we kind of roll our eyes a little bit when we hear Justin Fields' name, and we're like, okay, it's kind of like I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. Really, but mostly because it's just the rivalry thing. But honestly, it's his intangibles that might catch the Packers defense off guard. The Packers defense, of which we have the most faith in. So I'm worried about that. And the Packers offense, we don't know what we have there yet. And I guess, to be honest, the Bears defense doesn't scare me as much as the maybe the intangibles and the unknown of the Bears offense, what they do to me. So yeah, it does lie on Fields, and I hate to put that pressure on him, but it totally does. And I hope that some of the playmakers around him can carry some of that load, and not let it get pointed back at him always. And so I don't know, the course of the season will tell us that. But I just I don't know. I Joey, from your standpoint, like you want Fields to work out, right? Like this is your guy. It's not like you want to give up on him. So like all your chips are in with this fella, and I just hope it works out. And I don't know, what's your gut feeling about Fields and how he will actually perform this season?
Well, gentlemen, let me first say that if we've moved from Mitch Trubisky, Green Bay Packers fan just pats us on the head and goes, "Okay, there," to an eye roll with Justin Fields, I call that progress.
Yeah, you're right.
Not much with there. Look, as a Bears fan, this is going to be hard for Packers fans to understand, but they will delight in this. That we're all kinds of turned around. You know what I mean? We're a romantic bunch. We've got a big heart. We've been trying to get married for years, and unfortunately, we just keep finding the wrong partner. Whether it is sexy Rexy Grossman, to the boring vanilla of Kyle Orton, into the up and down roller coaster that was Jay Cutler, into the maybe he can do it, Mitch Trubisky, now into Justin Fields. In my heart of hearts, I think Justin Fields has everything that you could possibly want in a quarterback. When we talk about Justin Fields on our show, Corey likes to talk about the ascension and the evolution of Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I like to kind of go back to Cam Newton a little bit, where with Cam was such an interesting character to watch on the field, because I'd watch the games and, he wasn't always 1,000% accurate. He wasn't the greatest in the pocket, but damn it, when you look up, he's throwing a bomb down to Steve Smith and he's scoring, or he's figuring out a way to beat someone on the edge to get in there for a touchdown. And the dude turned into a winner. And if Justin Fields can just turn into a winner, I don't even really care what it looks like. I don't know if he's ever going to become Drew Brees, and maybe that's okay, especially in this modern NFL. I will caveat that by saying, there is a shelf life for him running the football, right? I mean, I think this year it's totally fine. As we move forward a little bit deeper into his career, we're going to have to ask ourselves that question of, can he separate himself from that dual threat and become a guy that can just throw from the pocket and score? But I think Justin's got everything there that you want. I think he's a good guy. He's been fantastic in the Bears community. Like, truly, I do think that he is a guy that works hard. You can see it even from college into these last couple of years, what he's done with his throwing motion to shorten it up. The guy has worked on his game, right? Now we just need to see results. There's a part of me that thinks that he's got that in him. And you guys have seen it before. And obviously you saw it with Rodgers, but you saw a little bit with Brett Favre. A little bit of that, no matter what's going on, if the chips are down, I'm going to figure out a way to get a score right here. I'm going to keep us in the game. Even if maybe our defense isn't playing well in the fourth quarter, we can come back, we can score, we can win. I think that is inside of Justin Fields. I just don't have any empirical, actual evidence to say that that's going to happen. So that's what you know what I mean? I'm saying that's what I'm rooting for. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
We're going
Hopefully it comes week 2, Joey.
Yeah, we're going out on dates right now. We're going on vacation. Right. We're taking long weekends together. Have we moved in together yet? And am I thinking about popping the question? No, but damn it, do I see the glimpses? And I'd love nothing more than to spend the next 10 to 15 years of my life with Justin Fields. But I know better as a Bears fan to not go out there and make that declarative statement until we watch this season. And I think this season is all in front of Justin Fields right now to put to bed. He's never going to put to bed the haters or the doubters or people that are going to criticize his game. But if he can put up some wins, get a little bit better as a player, bring the Bears offense into the modern era just a little bit, I think it's something that we can build on, wrap our head around, and move forward with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think wins will do you guys wonders down there, and it will help with his credibility for sure. Let's bounce back to this meeting here on Sunday.
At 3:25 at Soldier Field.
The
America's game. Yes, America's game, boys.
The 207th meeting. I want to get your predictions here. And like Ren just mentioned before, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are probably not playing. So now, from our perspective, this sucks. We wanted everyone, up and ready to give the Bears their full arsenal, and we're not going to see that, unfortunately. And I think you guys down there are probably rejoicing because now you get super rookies and super undrafted free agents and all this stuff on the Packers offense. So I think things are changing a little bit. I don't know if the line has changed now again with this game, but the Packers seem to be at a little disadvantage here with their 2 starting wide receivers being out. But Joey, give us your predictions for Packers versus Bears. What's the score going to be, and who do you think will win?
I was on a pod earlier today with former Packers offensive lineman Mike Wally. Had a great conversation, and on that show, I predicted the Chicago Bears, of course, because I'm a Bears fan and it's week 1. Shame on you, even if you're a Cardinals fan, picking against your team week 1. Anything can happen. This is a teams week 1. They're not formed completely. We all saw that when the Chicago Bears beat the San Francisco 49ers in week 1. So I'm going Bears win. I'm going 23-20 in this game. As I talk about with red zone efficiency, clearly, I think that's still going to be a work in progress. So I see 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals from the Chicago Bears. The part that is intriguing to me about this Bears offense, and I really think can help them out while we're trying to go through all these different elements of, is Justin going to be this, offensive line, DJ Moore, is that one thing that I can say confidently is that the Chicago Bears have home run hitters on their team. They have Justin Fields, they got DJ Moore, and in my opinion, I think Khalil Herbert is a home run hitter as well. So one of my predictions is I do think that the Bears are going to pick up a score of at least 60 yards or more in some form or fashion. The wide receiver issue was music to my ears this afternoon, especially when it comes to hamstrings. You come with a young, talented player like Christian Watson. I mean, why are we pushing him to play week 1 if he's got a hamstring? I mean, 1 week can turn into 4 or 5.
Exactly. You can't do it.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think the game is going to be tight. I don't think either offenses are going to wow us. I don't think either defenses are going to give us a lot of confidence or optimism. I know you guys specifically, I like your defensive line a lot. I do think are some question marks in that secondary outside of Alexander, with your linebackers too as well. It's almost like an inverse, right? I'm worried about our defensive line. So I'm thinking 23-20 Bears right now. It's on the lakefront. It's at home. And for the Chicago Bears, I'm sorry, I haven't looked at the Packers schedule, but Chicago Bears need to be careful, right? I mean, week 1, we play the Packers at home. The week after, we go to play Tampa Bay, which isn't a good football team. But talk to any former NFL player that says playing in Tampa in the middle of September is basically hell on earth. And you can get gassed very quickly, and you got to be very, very careful with that. And then in week 3, the Chicago Bears play the Kansas City Chiefs. So we cannot start the season 0-2 and hope to make any sort of noise in the NFC North this season. So all of a sudden, you're looking at it, you're like, man, we got to win one of these games here pretty quickly. So I'm going Chicago Bears 23-20 on the lakefront. I think they pick up the win. I don't think either of us are going to be jumping on Twitter to maybe brag about each other's triumphs this week 1, but that's what week 1 is for. What do you guys got? What are you thinking?
I'm going to go 2017, Joey. I'm going to hope that Green Bay's super depth on D-line and an edge rusher just keeps them in it, gets forces a couple quick passes from Justin, Jair or one of the other cornerbacks takes advantage, potentially keeps them in some good distance to points for Jordan. And we'll go 2017, even though the two number 1 and number 2 wide receivers won't be there.
I'm going to go a little lower. I think the Packers win this one, but I'm going to go 13-10. And I think the 13 is two touchdowns, but Anders Carlson misses the extra point. And then I think Fields squeaks one in, and then they also kick a field goal. But I think it's a low scoring game. I don't think the Packers offense gets anywhere going like we think they should. And I think the Packers defense really puts a stop to Fields in week 1. And I think it's going to be a shocker. So that's my bold prediction: a low scoring game.
Bold, but it would not surprise me, gentlemen. I'll tell you that much. If it was a little ugly there at first. Real quick, I know we're doing final score predictions. Before I go, who do you got winning the North? Who's the king of the North in 2023-2024 season?
I'm going to say it's the first timer. I'm going to let Detroit finally have their moment in the sun. Last time it happened was when it was the Central. So they'll finally get there. I give any Lions fan all the credit. If you've stuck with that team your whole life, man, what a ride that has to be. So, other than that, Joey, this has been a blast. I hope, in Green Bay, we've had the hot girlfriend who turned into the hot wife, and then we have to trade her up for the hot girlfriend again and the hot wife, and we just trade it up again.
So
I hope you found that hot girlfriend. That's all I can tell you, Joey.
I mean, I've been wonderfully married for 5 years. So, I mean, honestly, if my football life can mirror my personal life, we're going to be fine. But you can't have it all. Well, what can I say? You can't have it all.
Joey, we really appreciate this. This was fantastic. If you want to just plug yourself again, like where can people find you on Twitter or social media? Just let people know where you are again.
Yeah, gentlemen, guys, thank you so much for having me on. I had a great time talking to you. I know the Chicago Bears and the Packers don't play each other till the last week of the season, but please feel free to call me anytime, man. I just love cutting up NFL. If you want to talk Bears, you want to talk Packers, whatever, feel free to hit me up. Again, follow me at Joey Sports Guy. I love the NFL, guys. So even if you're a Packers fan, it's not always going to be Bears content all the time. Maybe I mix in some Cubs Brewers content. I don't know.
That's getting spicy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's getting real interesting. And nothing better. And I love Miller Park personally. I love visiting that ballpark. Follow me at Joey Sports Guy. Believe in Bears and the Believe Sports Network with former Bears defensive end Corey Wooten. You can check out our episodes on SiriusXM, wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube with Sports Talk Chicago. We're also on a couple of different TV networks right now running our show as well. So make sure you check that out. And then also, if I can also plug really quick, as I mentioned before, I'm a producer at the Beyond the Big Ten. And this is specifically, hopefully, for your target audience that I'm producing all the shows for them right now. Of course, I'm doing my Northwestern Wildcats show. But we have a fantastic Wisconsin football, Wisconsin Badgers podcast going on right now that is eventually going to go straight to video too as well. We're talking James White as our host, Sojourn Shelton and Warren Herring. These guys They know it inside and out. They're going to give you the inside scoop. They're going to be in the locker room talking to players. We're going to be bringing out coaches, all sorts of stuff. So that 1-2 punch in the backfield looks pretty good right now for Badgers football. So for anyone interested, make sure you check that out. Follow at Beyond the Big Ten as well. Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. No matter what happens, let's just have fun on Sunday, huh?
Absolutely. Let's turn this rivalry up. Again, thank you, Joey. We'd love to have you back at the bookend end of the season. See if those complete report cards came in and see how we're all feeling about our quarterbacks at that time. Thanks again.
Anytime, guys. Be well. Great show. And looking forward to rooting for you guys and following you in the future.
Same to you. All the best, Joey.
Thanks, Joey. All right, Ren, that was awesome. I'm glad Joey was able to hook up with us and get on the show right before the game. I love that. Hopefully, we will be able to do that more with Joey and maybe potentially some others. We'll have to get back to you on that, Packer Universe. But yeah, look to us for some new things coming this year.
Yeah, that was a heck of a lot of fun, Tay. I always just kind of hearing somebody else passionate about their football team, especially this rivalry that goes back, over 100 years. It's just fun to hear somebody else, and you could hear a little bit of pain in his voice with what they've struggled to do or not do in the case of trying to find a quarterback all these years and thinking they might be on the precipice of having that and just not for sure knowing. And now we're kind of in a similar boat, not for sure knowing, but we've had all the greatness before it. So we're okay. We're kind of like, it's fun, whatever. But if you did 30 years of that, it might not be so much fun.
I didn't bring up with him, which I wanted to. It was in my arsenal of questions, was to kind of say as Packer fans, we kind of have the pressures a little bit off now that Aaron's gone. Like the last 4 or 5 years have been super pressure. Every game is you have to win this.
They have to get to the Super Bowl.
They're going to win, right?
Otherwise,
it's a failure. Right. Totally.
And a lot of Packer seasons, let's be honest, we are spoiled as hell. And were for 30 years, as everybody talks about, but it always ends in some crushing defeat, be it in Seattle in 2014 when they blow that thing, or against Tampa in the NFC Championship game a few years ago.
Totally.
Just deflating. Some weird ones, where Micah Hyde could have picked it off and they could have beat the Niners that season, and who knows where they would have went. Obviously the Favre last year, and he throws that terrible pick to end his career in Green Bay. I mean, cry me a river, but we're a little whiny, about it. But always, there's always the expectation, and then the ultimate, other than twice, cry on our pillow and cry ourselves to sleep because it ended horribly.
I wanted to bring that up, but we didn't get to that. But maybe someday we will. I mean, so is it apples and apples? Like how we got disappointed and our failures in the NFC Championship compares to the Bears not having success?
No, because he'd be like, I want that. I want that.
I want to be let down in the NFC Championship.
I want that girlfriend that becomes the wife. I want that. Yeah. I want that every year, that there's that expectation. I think, I mean, do we really not want that feeling anymore, that there's an expectation? I think we're cool with this is new.
Yeah,
but inevitably after a couple years, we want the expectation again, right? But we think that we might get there again quick. So because they are so young and they're rebuilding, and now we get to see this thing coalesce, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it so darn fun. And no, we don't want to live in their shoes that long.
All right, so let's move on to our next thing, Ren, and that is, we've been heckled by our fans, like, you need to do this before the season starts, and that is kind of give our predictions on the record, the Packers record going into the season. We have to do it before the first game, otherwise it doesn't make sense, and we've done this in years past, but now let's follow through. Let's make the full swing and do it for this season. So, I don't think we're going to go through every single game and talk about it, but you can kind of see some different things. So you can play along at home, bring up the schedule. It's everywhere now, and you can follow along with us when we're picking out some things here. It's noteworthy that week 6 is the bye week, right? And that we all know we start out at Chicago, and then we end here at home against Chicago. But I think most Packer fans think this is going to be a 7 to 10 win season.
And I would agree with that. That's probably on par.
Yeah.
7, kind of disappointing. 10 being like,
okay,
dang, we're probably a wild card in the weak NFC, and heck yeah, let's go. And now you're feeling like, what is that going to look like year 2 then? I think that is like the real high end piece with this team. I mean, you never know. Some things can fall your way, and you could be 12-5. I'm not saying that, but it could also end up 5-12.
Yeah.
This team this year, that's the thing. There's a lot of room for error in this prediction piece as it is, because there's a lot of unknown with the super young skill set. Obviously, the first time starter in Green Bay in Jordan. A defense that should be better, that should actually help pick this team up at times. But Joe Barry's still leading the defense. So let's get into it.
Okay. I fall into that category of between 7 and 10. I actually did this a couple weeks ago, and I put us at 7 and 10, but I didn't really like it. So I went back, and I'm going to fall at 8 and 9.
You gave one more win. You're like, I don't like it, but I'll squeeze one more out of here just to make myself feel that much better about it.
Because, honestly, 8 and 9, 9 and 8, that's passing. That's a passing grade, I think, in the NFL. I think you didn't make the playoffs.
I think for a first year starter with, again, as young as they are, I think that's a pretty successful season. So if you've seen some good progression from Jordan throughout the course of the season.
True. So I think we just got done telling Joey that they're going to win in the first week, and that's what I did. I did week
hope
1.
Springs eternal, week 1.
Week 1, I got a win there. So there's only 8 wins. So I have us winning at the Falcons. I don't think that they're great. I have us winning out at Denver because Denver stinks. I think I have us winning at home against the Vikings. And then I have the Steelers in away game for the Packers winning there. And then I have the Bucks at home later in the season. I have the Panthers because they're a young, not that great team. Mm-hmm. And then I have the Bears at home, us winning again to end cap. But those are my wins, Ren. I have everything else listed as a loss because honestly, when I put my mind into that game, I see them potentially losing that game and probably losing. I think there are some tough matchups. And then there's just things that just probably won't go our way, like going to Detroit. Probably not going to happen.
Thanksgiving Day?
Right.
No, that ain't working out.
So even Lions coming here, they seem to be able to handle us. Mm-hmm. And yes, this is a new era without Aaron Rodgers, new quarterback. So we have to see, but that's how I feel. So I'm at 8 and 9. I think it's a losing record. And that's what the 17 game season does for you. You can't just be straight down the middle. You have to be one or the other. So to me, this 8 and 9 is not disappointing. That's this is okay with me. I'm fine with that. So anything more than 8, I'm going to be ecstatic. If we drop below 8, yes, I will start to be disappointed. And obviously, it all comes down to how it looks and how it happens. But 8 and 9, we move on. And I think that's the purpose. I think that's what the front office of the Packers are thinking themselves. Like, this is the first year. We got to pass.
Everybody gets a pass. The coaching staff.
Whatever.
Except I hope Joe Barry doesn't get a pass.
Right.
But again, you do want to see Jordan progress. I mean, I think you get to 8 and 9, you're like, Jordan's looked good, really good in some games. You're like, okay, I can handle that. If he's just been middling, kind of just did enough today, but they got to 8 and 9. I'm not feeling great about that record. I got to be honest.
I know.
So it's really predicated on that. But I'm going to go dub. I'm going 3 in the tub there, Tay.
Woo-hoo.
I'm going L against the Lions. Another dub before the bye at the Raiders.
Holy crap! You're already at 4. You're at 4 and 1.
Yep. And then I'm going dub at Denver coming out of the bye, and then I'm going loss against the Vikings at home. I'm going dub against the Rams in Green Bay.
Woo-hoo.
I'm going loss Steelers, loss Chargers, loss Lions, loss Chiefs, loss Giants, win against the Bucks, win against the Panthers, lose against the Vikings, and then win the final game of the regular season. So nice little streak to start the season. Pretty bad middle of the season streak. Going to be streaky at times, Tay.
Wow. Okay. Up front wins for the Packers. Usually there's that extended preseason where we can't figure ourselves out, and then it finally, everything settles. But you're saying out of the gate.
I'm saying that are playing a weaker schedule to start the season. You get into that middle tough part of the season, weather starts to change. This young team is just going to be up against some tough stuff, and they're going to go through a streak there, and then kind of end out with a little bit of feeling better about yourself to end the season, to maybe give yourself a shot.
Well,
at 9-8.
Well, bounce it back at us, Packer Universe. Tell us what your prediction is. I mean, we're days before the season starts, so now is the time. If you agree with the middle of the road here, like Ren and I did, I have 8-9. He is 9-8. That's pretty. That's passing. That's pretty. Down the middle. So yeah, it's exactly down the middle. So let us know what you think. You can reach out to us on social media. You can email us at info@packeruniverse.com. But Ren, I opened the show with saying that, we'll kind of preview the Bears game, but we did a lot of that.
Just talking about the two teams, where they maybe have improved. Some of those things are still concerns. Joey gave us some good perspectives on his end. So there's not a ton to preview. The big thing is the initial injury report came out today, Tay.
Yeah, not good.
And that had another surprise on it, and that is Christian Watson not practicing today with a hamstring as well. And we all know hamstring injuries, Tay, can be really tricky. You don't want to force those guys back with those too quick, because they end up being a lingering issue again. And now they're, dealing with it 4, 5, 6 weeks, or they're out 3 weeks. They come back to try to come back too soon, and then they're out another 3 weeks, and it just lingers throughout the course of the season. It can be really tricky. So there's a good chance, Tay, come Sunday, that the Packers number 1 and number 2 wide receiver with a combined amount of snaps somewhere, NFL snaps. I don't know. It's not a lot with taking those two guys out of the roster or out of the starting lineup. I mean, it could be scary, Tay.
I think I did see
it could be
Andy Herman.
Trouble a-brewing.
Andy Herman did post something like this, and I'm totally paraphrasing because I'm just going off of my memory. But he said something like 112 snaps between all of the wide receivers that will potentially play, and all of those belong to Torre.
Yikes!
And none of the other ones. And so it's
go out and ball, young boys.
It's not great. So this is disappointing me because, like I said in the interview, I really wanted this to be.
You want to see the full complement of guys.
Totally,
I mean, everyone the young skill set, because hey, we really think. And I guess I'll speak for myself too, but I think you're in the same page that this young wide receiving core, this young skill set with the tight ends, obviously with the running back room, they've got a lot of good young talent. It's been a revamped room. Obviously, going from where they were 3 years ago to where they are now, I certainly like the skill set room 10 times better. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They got young in a hurry. They're going to be growing pains with that, but at the same time, there's a ton of talent, and they can all grow together, and we're just looking forward to that. And potentially missing your two biggest cogs of that week 1 is just really disappointing.
It sucks because now you're not getting what you wanted. You're not getting what you expected to happen this year. You're at a deficit, and now how do you really wrap your head around this? And you're just like, okay, well, they're not even going to be in this game anymore, and they're not going to look like I want them to see or to look like. So I don't know. It's very disappointing. Hopefully these guys bounce back, but what a blow. What a disappointment going into the season, just being like, oh, okay, we don't have our top 2 wide receivers now. So that stinks a ton. So, we kind of did our preview a lot in the interview, so we won't go into it, but
that's going to loom large over the entire way this game plays out. So you're going to hope, like at times, that Matt has talked about it. Joe's talked about it. Sometimes that defense is going to need to pick this offense up a little bit because they are young and they're going to have some growing pains. Well, Sunday, if that is the case, it's going to be, hey, that D is really going to need to make a couple plays to, give the offense a short field.
Yep. Well, Ren, you got anything else?
No, Tay, I don't. I mean, other than a lot of butterflies, we're now less than 24 hours. We'll both be sitting on our couch, probably watching a little Thursday night football, watching those NFC North Detroit Lions. Yeah. So we're all getting excited, Tay. Well, it's NFL week 1 is here. It's always fantastic, Tay. Everybody's 0-0.
The Lions are tomorrow night, and then we have the Jets and Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. So, that's, yes, we've all moved on as Packer fans, but it's still in.
There's a lot of intrigue.
It's in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch that.
There's a lot of intrigue. Want to see how the New York Packers, those old dudes over there do together. So
right. All right, Ryan. Well, thanks for joining me tonight in studio. We had a great interview with Joey. Go follow him if you're into the Big Ten. Even I know you're not a whole lot of us are Bears fans enough, but yeah, he's a great guy, great guest, and we appreciate him coming on the show.
Doing a lot of great stuff out there on the interwebs and podcasting and video for that matter. So yeah, definitely Packer Universe. Go check that stuff out. But Tay, until next week. Episode 239, we get to break down this Packers-Bears matchup and look to week 2 on the pup list.